Welcome! Welcome! Let's get ready to rumble. This is very strange. A Hollywood Reporter, good for scoops. They've got a scoop here about why David Benioff and D.B. Weiss left Star Wars. The whole article is really quite interesting. So I thought we'd take a look at it. The headline alone will get some people buzzing. Divided attention and toxic fandom is apparently why Game of Thrones dweebos bailed on Star Wars. Toxic fandom? What the fuck? This is really... again, like I said, just the title alone will get people going, what are you talking about? So, it's amazing. It amazes me. Why is it always blamed on toxic fandom? It can't possibly be blamed on shitty filmmakers. We're gonna start getting the comments about Terminator fans being toxic now. I bet you anything we will, because Terminator Dark Fate was trash, and people have a right to say you're putting a product out there that is crap, right? Well, you're putting a product out there. People will either approve it or disapprove it. You know, I get insults daily on my channel. Everyone does that produces a form of consumable content. I don't blame it on toxic fandom. That wouldn't make any sense. It's the same with a product that you're giving to the mass market. You can't blame toxic fandom. They have a right to their opinion. But no, it's toxic fandom, apparently. Lucasfilm's Kathleen Kennedy is on the hunt for new filmmakers as David Benioff and Dan Weiss leave a galaxy far away over their commitment to a lucrative $250 million Netflix deal. But we'll get into it even further. There's more stuff in here. So sometime this past summer, David Benioff and Dan Weiss took their families to Italy. It was partly a vacation, but the Game of Thrones showrunners were also visiting Star Wars creator George Lucas there. Doing research for the trilogy of films they were set to oversee after wrapping HBO's Emmy-winning fantasy drama, Game of Thrones. Now, a few months later, those plans are as much in ruins as King's Landing. THR bringing the quips. Late Monday came the announcement that Benioff and Weiss were no longer attached to the Star Wars trilogy that they were hired to shepherd back in February 2018. The news, predictably, sparked a frenzy among Star Wars fans on social media. Now, again, this is interesting for many reasons because we learn apparently Kathleen Kennedy's outlook to the series and kind of what she wants and stuff, what she's fearful of and things like that. Some speculated that the exit had to do with a rare public appearance the duo made over the weekend at the Austin Film Festival, where they were candid about the mistakes they made during their Game of Thrones reign and how they had to learn on the job. Others were surprised that it was Benioff and Weiss's trilogy and not the other one in the works, from Ryan Johnson. Ah, dear. Which still sounds like it might be shelved, in fairness. Now, but although we'll get to that because it's unlikely now, having seen all of this stuff. Benioff and Weiss said Monday that they were caught in the push and pull that came with juggling one of the world's biggest movie franchises and the $250 million Netflix deal they signed in August. There are only so many hours in the day, and we felt we could not do justice to both Star Wars and our Netflix projects. So we are regretfully stepping away from Star Wars. Now, that was their joint statement. Now, while there is some truth to their statement for parting ways with Lucasfilm, insiders say that there's actually a lot of more nuance to this, which is, again, doesn't take a genius. I had so many people, I did a video on this, I had so many people going, yeah, well, but they said it's because of this. And if they told you that Game of Thrones was actually real, and they were just recording actual events happening in an enclosed part of the universe, would you believe it? Fucking naivety of some people. Sources tell The Hollywood Reporter that Benioff and Weiss's exit has been brewing since August. Lucasfilm chief Kathleen Kennedy is said to have been unhappy with the Netflix deal, inked just as they were scheduled to begin work on Star Wars. Benioff and Weiss had said multiple times that they would not turn their focus to Star Wars until production wrapped on the final season of Thrones, which ended in July 2018, which is fair. Kennedy was not convinced the pair, known for focusing on one project at a time, could develop a sci-fi trilogy while also overseeing film and TV projects at Netflix. Sources say that, so give them get a better contract for your people, and also scope out what they're planning to do. The hiring practices of these people is just moronic. Sign a non-compete deal until it's done. That's fine. You're not stopping them from working because they're working for you. Sign a non-compete contract. Fucking idiots. Absolute idiots. Now, sources say that as the duo shopped for an overall deal over the summer, they told potential suitors that they plan to work on Star Wars concurrently with any projects under their new deal. Sources say Netflix learned of Benioff and Weiss's Star Wars departure mere days before news broke on Monday. So it wasn't really anything to do with Netflix too much. Benioff and Weiss's departure also marks the latest in what has become a tenuous relationship between Netflix and Disney, which is true. Sources say Disney was among the early meetings the Thrones pair had for an overall deal, though the Mouse House did not make it to the final round. Basically, they couldn't chop in enough cash. Amazon was a front runner before Netflix swooped in. Disney famously severed ties with the streamer years ago when it began pulling back its Marvel movies as it prepared its own Disney Plus streaming service. Same with all of the Marvel Netflix series as well. Well, they're gone now. Now, representative for Disney and Lucasfilm, Netflix, and Benioff and Weiss declined to comment for this story, which is neither telling nor, confirming or denying anything. But while Benioff and Weiss were in high demand after wrapping the mega hit Thrones, controversial final season notwithstanding, 9-figure deals such as theirs have traditionally been reserved for prolific producers who can manage multiple projects at once. Netflix, for example, paid Ryan Murphy $300 million over 5 years, and he's working on 10 projects less than 2 years after signing the deal. Benioff and Weiss don't do that. Benioff and Weiss, for their part, have never tackled anything other than Game of Thrones and have effectively only made 73 episodes of television. Oh my god! Why would you give them so much money, Netflix? Give me the money. What are you doing? What are you doing? Many TV industry insiders at the time questioned why Netflix would spend $250 million to be in second position to Star Wars, but sources familiar with the deal say Netflix and Disney were in a shared first position, meaning the duo could work on both simultaneously. Before signing the deal, Netflix was briefed on the Star Wars plans and wasn't worried about having to wait for them to finish a potential trilogy, earmarked for 2022, 2024, and 2026. It's going to be about 10 years. Jesus. It was going to be about 10 years until Netflix would see their first output. And they seemed happy about that. But then it backed off from what they were doing to just, because they were going to oversee the whole thing. Then they were like, yeah, we're just penning a script treatment. Like, what? Jesus. At the time of the Netflix pact, Benioff and Weiss were working on a treatment for Disney and Netflix. The pair was committed to penning at least one of the films. There you go. Though the original deal was to write all three. Fucking hell. Unbelievable. Now it says, Kennedy, according to a source familiar with her thinking, was nervous the duo would become the fourth directors to exit a Star Wars project since she took the helm of Lucasfilm. Well, they've done it. Josh Trank was fired from a Star Wars standalone movie in 2015. Chris Miller and Phil Lord were canned from Solo mid-production, and that same year Colin Trevorrow departed. Episode 9 replaced by J.J. Abrams. Production under Kennedy has also run into trouble, with Tony Gilroy brought in to reshoot and rewrite much of Gareth Edwards' 2016 standalone Rogue One, and Ron Howard stepping in after Lord and Miller's departure. Oh my lord. But here we go. Meanwhile, Benioff and Weiss were also feeling the heat and began having second thoughts about jumping into Star Wars due to what one source described as toxic fandom. Oh my god! The creators had built Thrones from the ground up based on author George R. Martin's sprawling novels, and were initially lauded by both critics and fans, who made the show HBO's most watched original series ever. But the divisive 6-episode final season that aired in the spring was met with such backlash that the duo backed off a farewell panel at San Diego Comic-Con this summer. Well, because you sacked off a proper final season in favour of doing Star Wars, and now you're not even doing Star Wars, so you just produce shit TV for no reason. To go from Thrones to Star Wars, where fans have bullied actors off social media and taken aim at filmmakers like Johnson, who wants to go through that again? Not them, notes another source with knowledge of Benioff and Weiss's thinking. This was in the Life's Too Short category. Fans have bullied actors off social media and taken aim at filmmakers like Johnson. Johnson asks for it. He's literally renowned for just hunting through Twitter for people mentioning his film and just replying to them like a dick, like a petulant little child. Unbelievable. Whether forces internal or external were in play, Benioff and Weiss wanted out. It was a hard quit, says Insider. I doubt it. I doubt it very, very much. So apparently it's all toxic fandom. Couldn't possibly be actual constructive critique, could it? No, of course not. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. What do you think? Let me know down below in the comment section. It seems like Star Wars is just completely dead, in fairness. But let me know your thoughts down below. If you're new here, do hit subscribe. If you're a returning subscriber, check that you are subscribed, because YouTube is systematically unsubscribing people. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. I've been Mr. H. Take care.